Friends Who Met on the Street 1. New York, New York. Vincent Jones cannot forget the first time he saw the homeless man. He was so skinny and weak. Mr. Jones says he was holding up his pants with one hand and holding on to the wall with the other. That first time, Mr. Jones remembers, a police officer was yelling at the man, telling him he had to leave the small square of sidewalk he called home. Mr. Jones kept walking that day, but a few days later, something drew him back. Something he still finds hard to explain. The look on that man's face, he says now. The man, Raymond Lawrence, asked Mr. Jones for a quarter. Mr. Jones gave him 2. He also bought him a cup of coffee and a bacon and egg sandwich. He asked the man, please, not to spend his money on alcohol, and then he walked away, sure he would never see him again. That was 3 years ago. A lot has happened since. Mr. Jones is a delivery man. His truck route often took him past the place where Mr. Lawrence stood each day and begged for money and food. Slowly, Mr. Jones began to become part of Mr. Lawrence's life. Over the months, the delivery man learned that the homeless man had been in the Navy, had lived as far away as Alaska, and had once been a talented jazz pianist. He learned that the homeless man had a family, who he had not seen in many years. Mr. Jones was worried about the homeless man. He was sick and dirty from years of living on the streets. He was often beaten and robbed by other street people. One winter, his shoes were stolen and his toes became frozen. Surgeons operated, and the city bought him a shiny new wheelchair, but it was stolen within a week. There were times when I said to myself, I am going to watch this man die out here, Mr. Jones said, which is why he decided to help Mr. Lawrence find his way back home. Years of alcohol had scarred Mr. Lawrence's memory, but he gave Mr. Jones some clues here and there. Using them, Mr. Jones discovered that one of Mr. Lawrence's sisters, Mary Helen, worked in New York City and regularly got off the bus right near the spot where Mr. Lawrence slept on the sidewalk. He also discovered that Mr. Lawrence's mother was still living in Virginia, near the town where Mr. Lawrence was born, and he had another sister, Kathleen, living in Boston. Amazingly, Mr. Lawrence even remembered her telephone number. So Mr. Jones called that sister, who immediately put him in touch with her mother, who had not heard from her son for more than 3 years. One morning, soon after that, Mr. Jones walked up to Mr. Lawrence on his patch of sidewalk. Mr. Jones held out a cell phone and told the homeless man that his mother was on the phone. Mr. Lawrence looked at the phone and then said into it, tears welling in his eyes, "Is this really my mother?" The voice of a woman crying shot back. On October 3rd, 1948, they handed me a baby and told me it was you, so I guess it's your mother, Raymond. That was the turning point. Mr. Jones was so excited he wanted to drive Mr. Lawrence to Virginia the next day. But first he got him a haircut and a new set of clothes and a dinner of baked chicken, corn, potatoes, and peas.